Welcome to the Ruby Hour, a podcast produced by our company Ruby Riot Creatives. We specialize in video production and content marketing, and we're based in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm Shelby Ring.
And I'm Madeline Reagor.
This podcast is devoted to interviewing extraordinary people doing extraordinary things and nuggets of wisdom that they've learned along their journey. Also, just want to give you a heads up, we have potty mouths and we're talking about inappropriate things. Welcome to the Ruby Hour. Today, I have the amazing Jessica Rueger. Jessica, thank you so much for coming and being with me today.
Oh, I'm honored.
Jessica is somebody that I have been working with for months and months. She is a self-mastery coach here in Charleston. And, oh man, I mean, in my own personal experience of working with you, it's been such a night and day shift of finding clarity and learning about end results and knowing where I actually want to drive my life. And I'm so happy to be able to catch this hour with you and dive into all of the things we're going to dive into today. What got you on your journey with self-mastery?
Well, I've always been a big believer in, changing my identity. I kind of went through a lot of different phases in my life, and it was always really fun to see what I could create and in the way that I could transform my life. And I moved out of home early, and I moved to Germany, and I just started taking on different personas, but from a very dysfunctional aspect. So I really wanted to be a coach ever since I was little. People would come to me and talk to me and share their secrets with me. And I started working with a guy who was teaching me consciousness. David Michael started teaching me how to be conscious and have integrity. And so that really got the ball rolling into my coaching. And then recently started working with another coach 2.5 years ago. And he's the one that's been teaching me how to powerfully create functionally. So everything changed.
Oh, I love that. Now, how long have you been in Charleston?
I've been in Charleston for just under 30 years.
Whoa.
Yeah. Well, maybe 30 years. Yeah.
Okay. That is so awesome. What originally brought you to Charleston? How did you come across from gallivanting and just, living your best life in Europe and all of your experience? What eventually brought you to South Carolina?
Well, to be honest, I didn't know South Carolina was really a thing. Yeah. Growing up in Michigan, I was like, California, Arizona, Florida. Those were my places I wanted to live in America. And but I went on vacation with when I moved out of my house, I lived with a friend, and her mom and dad took us to Myrtle Beach.
Okay.
And I was like, Myrtle Beach? And there was the beach, and there was palm trees, and I was like, oh my gosh, South Carolina seemed like a undiscovered territory. And so that really perked my attention. And then when I got back from Germany, I took a job, and I immediately met a girl who shared the same birthday as me, and she was moving to Columbia, South Carolina, and I was like, ooh, that's pretty close. So I went with her, and that's how I ended up here.
Cool.
Yeah.
That is so awesome. So I feel like your superpower that I've experienced is the ability to hold space for people and track with, let's say in this last week in my life, I tried to share something on social media and trying to reach out to my community, and I had a pure intention with it. And then I immediately got sized up and analyzed, and I felt there was a lot of judgment around something I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
How did you learn to hold the space for people and actively listen, the presence that you bring with me whenever we meet each week and I'm sharing my story or my journey or what the real part of my French, the real shit we all work through, and what what holds up a lot of our energy. How did you learn to maneuver with people through that?
Well, a lot of experience, a lot of doing it the other way. I was definitely somebody that liked to jump in, and I still catch myself sometimes jumping in and interrupting and wanting to be heard and wanting to say my piece. And I started to see how that wasn't really serving my client, and it wasn't serving the relationship, and it wasn't really helping me use my intuition. Because in order for me to read, I really need to be listening and watching and being present and in the moment and not trying to figure out what I'm going to say next.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love that. I just watched a comedian where he was like, I was in a conversation, the person was going like this, and I was waiting for my next moment to jump in. And it's like, how often are we really listening?
Not very often.
Man, I mean, so you and I have had several conversations around this, and like a couple weeks ago, I feel like we had a mind-blowing experience talking about, as women in, right now it's 2019, social media and like how it's affecting people in the sense of, are we using it as like a comparison, contrast? Am I keeping up with whoever? Am I better than? We're using it as this judging piece in our lives, and it's the new, my opinion, it's the new keeping up with the Joneses, and really sizing up, other women or other families, whatever people's angle is. For me, I'm a 29, about to be 29-year-old woman, and so it's like, how do you keep in check with like what your truth is and maneuver through this digital era where it's like either you feel like you have to engage and post, or it's on the other side, you're a consumer and you're like watching and keeping up and like monitoring people. What's your like, what do you think about that?
Well, it's interesting. It's changed a lot. It vacillates. I don't know the word. It's very different than it used to be. I really wanted to be seen. I wanted to compare myself to all of the people out there that I thought I wanted to be like, and do what I thought they were doing that was getting them success, and really making a lot of comparisons and judging myself if I wasn't getting as many likes or as many followers, and what's wrong with me, all the stuff that's normal that we do. And then when I started to really look at my own dysfunction around it, I started to notice what I was making it mean about me. And it really helped me to kind of free myself from that. I'm like, well, what am I making it mean about me? Where am I thinking that I'm not enough? Where are these core beliefs that we work with, right? Like, where am I thinking that I'm not worthy, or I have to be perfect, and all of these core beliefs that we grow up with? And so it really helped me to take myself out of it and start to use it more functionally. And I still catch myself like looking at, I'm going to be 50 this year. So there's a lot of younger girls on the social media who are like super fit, and me being super fit used to be really, really important to me. I hid myself from the world by being super fit, because I didn't care if I got it right. I didn't care if I was understood. I just wanted to look good doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the way that, I'm shocked as I talk to girls that are like 10 years younger than me, and also younger. I have some girls that are little sisters to me, and hearing how it's like consuming people. And even, Chris was telling me about, there's like an Asian pop singer girl that, is like Billie Eilish's age. She's like young teens. And she got, so whatever social media shamed that she recently just took her life.
Oh, geez.
From this platform of like being anonymous and spewing judgmental thoughts about people. And in this case, it was her singing. And what tools, or what's your perspective for young women where like this is the norm for them? Like for me, social media has happened in the last 6 years, and it wasn't part of normal life for my world. But for the next generation of women, where it's like, it like take a picture, it didn't happen, and this level, like what would you want to say to them?
Wow, that's a great question. And immediately what comes up is just, we as older women need to educate the younger women. And we need to set an example and demonstrate for them, because I would want them to hear, not to take it personally. And you can't compare yourself. You can't begin to understand what somebody's going through just because of the way their page looks, or where they're traveling, or everyone's fighting a fight within themselves to some extent. None of us is void of having a trauma or tragedy or abuse of some sort, or, people overstepping our boundaries or whatever, to any level, any degree. It's just really important that, we keep it in the conversation and invite them to consider that, you know, if it's happening, if something's happening for you, we can fairly assume that it's happening to other people. And we're all wanting to be seen in a certain way. And what we're seeing is the way people want us to see them in a certain way, not what's really happening. And so many people are admitting that, you know, this is my highlight reel. And I like that. You know, yeah, it is. And, you know, show me the real stuff.
Yeah. I just saw a post of like Chris Hemsworth, and he's like in a full tuxedo, like so to the nines, and he's like, hey guys, like just wanted to show you the real me, like rolled out of bed. Like he totally riffed off of that, like this thing of, oh yeah, like this is me, like I just magically have all this perfect concealer and
hashtag no filter.
Yeah, and it's just like, I'm so tired of it. And being in the marketing industry and being in a visual industry, you know, we're helping people curate like brand promo content, and that's our line of work. And I mean, of course, with weddings, there's a certain level of that, and people are, you know, they want to be their best self on their wedding day.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to like brand imagery and doing like video shoots and photo shoots, you know, it's like we're creating this image. But I have this ongoing experiment that I think through of like, what is the most truly engaging content? And I look at what do I really engage with. And I went through a phase where I unfollowed, you know, it's like every, you know, that girl out there that has the perfectly curated whatever it is. Like I think we're inundated with that now. And it's just where, you know, it's not even about, oh, you have like a nice light color filter that like all your images have the same palette. It's not so much that as it is like, you know, I think we're looking for like the raw selfie. You know, we're looking for someone that's like, hey, like here's us at a baseball game, whatever. I kind of look like shit. Like it's like we want to see, I feel like I'm looking for those moments for people of, I love to see people just living their life, and maybe they snapped a picture, or maybe they, you know,
jet-lagged,
it's a blend. I mean, you look at like Elizabeth Gilbert, you know, Eat, Pray, Love. You look at her feed, it's all from an iPhone, you know, unless it's just like, I love, it's documenting real life rather than taking all this time to stage the real life. And, you know, it's like, what do you feel like, what do you try to pull from with social media when you go online and you're in a consumer perspective and, you know, it's like if it looks like this scroll through, what helps you of either what are you looking for, and then also like what works for you of like filtering and staying rooted in the midst of like having opportunities to let your like monkey mind, you know, follow and do what it does best, which is compare and contrast.
Yeah, well, it took me, I don't know, 7 to 10 days to unfollow thousands and thousands and thousands, because I heard that the more that you follow, the more that you get followed.
Oh, okay. The classic, like hashtag follow me back, like for likes, like that thinking. And it was an infinite scroll, like it never ended. And so I edited back, and it was laborious, you know, unfollow. And eventually got it down to like 111, because I like those consecutive numbers. And then, you know, I was missing out a little bit. You know, I was getting to the end of the feed really quickly. Like sometimes there'd only be 2 or 3 posts. I'm like, okay, so I bumped it up to 222. And, you know, for me, I want to see behind the curtain. I want to see people's real interactions. I'm very attuned to the curated. Like I can tell. I can really see when it's superficial or when it's not real. And I notice what comes up for me when I see that. So that's a lot of the work that I've been doing is like, well, that's me being judgmental, or, you know, am I just observing the obvious, you know, to be determined. Yeah. But yeah, I just really, I do it when it feels true for me, and I don't do it to compare. And when I notice I'm comparing, I just do the work. I look and say, what am I making that mean about me? So for people that are new to this work, what am I making it mean about me? Like, unpack that a little for me, because that's been one of the most mind-blowing things you've introduced to me in my life and in Madeline's life as well. And, you know, it's like, what is that? Like, okay, I see that post, I see the girl, and she looks freaking beautiful.
Amazing.
Is the real truth of it, right?
Right.
And I'm like, oh, like, fuck that bitch, you know, whatever.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that like part of myself rears up. Mm-hmm. What am I making it mean? Like, walk me through that.
Well, immediately you go into a story, right?
Yeah.
Because we're making everything up anyway, and
Yeah.
we're usually doing it from a dysfunctional aspect, and we're wanting to get a jolt of feeling more powerful. And so immediately, you know, we'll say, fuck that bitch, or something like, we got to put her down so that we can get that hit of adrenaline that makes us feel better for a minute. And it's really unhealthy, right? We make up stories. So we're making up a story. You know, I had a story. Oh, well, she must have had a better life than me. She probably grew up with a lot of money, and her mom and dad loved her and took her on trips and bought her what she wanted. Or, you know, I had all these stories that people that were more successful than me had it better than me. So that was me staying in my victim mentality. So I had a story that was running that somebody had it better than me, and that's they had help from their dad or financial inheritance or some kind of a gift that gave them, you know, a jolt up.
Yeah.
And so basically it's looking at the story and stalking the story, as my teacher says. And you know what a stalker does. It watches every move, you know. It doesn't take his eye off of the prey or whatever.
Yeah.
So you really want to really watch the stories that you're telling yourself, because most of the time we're telling them to ourselves unconsciously.
Yeah.
And every time we tell ourselves a story, our subconscious mind is looking for proof that that story is true.
Yes.
So that we can be right.
Yeah.
Because what feels better than putting down a gorgeous woman than feeling like we're right?
Yeah.
So it's really important to see. So when you're saying that story and you're looking at it, you're like, well, what am I making that mean about me? That I'm not gorgeous?
Yeah.
That I don't have what it takes to be successful because my dad didn't give me a big chunk of change when I graduated from high school?
Yeah.
Or because of this or because of that? And so every time there's an excuse for not being who you want to be, you're putting the power in the excuse and not into your creative ability to go out there and create what you want. Does that make it clear?
Well, and it's like, I think my story that I love to say is being like, it's like, must be nice to have nothing better to do than like curate a beautiful image or like whatever it took to get to that place. Must be nice. And then my story is like, well, you know, they're in a traditional woman's role of like, oh, she's got a cash cow husband or like, you know, this whole pattern. But it's like, that doesn't, at the end of my little, like, standing on my soapbox and being like, and being the mean girl, which, like, I don't like experiencing being the victim of the mean girl, and I don't like receiving that energy. And it's like, when I step into being the mean girl and being like, yeah, it's because of this, and then it's like, see, I'm right. And it's like, yeah, that felt good. And then, like, 4 or 5 seconds later, it dropped like that, like
energy
drops, and then it's like, oh, like then you're back to exactly where you were before. So what you're suggesting is it's like, oh, I get that hit of like, that's like must be nice, and then to be like, I see. I am questioning. I'm seeing somebody that's beautiful, and I'm fact-checking myself of that I'm not connecting with my sense of power and self-worth, and acknowledging that I've got everything I need right now as well. And like, bless that girl.
Bless her.
You know, like what like bamf, like good for her. Someone give her a trophy, you know, and then be like, okay, cool. So what do I need to do in my life? Maybe it's even like, okay, like, here you are, Shelby, right now, just as you are, like, 2 weeks after having, like, a chest cold, whatever, like, you're killing it. Like, channel your inner Lizzo, right? And be like, I'm perfect just right now. Like, I'm into my fitness and eating. Yeah. What's her handle? It's, like, Lizzo eating stuff, or, like, Lizzo's eating. She has, like, the most badass Instagram handle I've ever seen. And being like, here's that work. And if it is, like, okay, damn, I wish I had that body, like, I wish I was, like, at that peak level of fitness, then maybe the practical thing is, like, maybe I should take 2 seconds and look at the local gyms near me. That's been something on the back burner, but we exert that, like, ping of adrenaline, and we lose the charge.
Absolutely, the tension, the creative tension. So a couple of things that just popped for me when I was listening to you talk. One is, you are responsible to yourself for the experience you want to be having. And maybe you're getting that quick adrenaline rush in a moment, but then, like you said, 4 seconds later, it's like the bottom drops right out, and you're not only back where you started, you might have hemorrhaged so much energy in that comparison that you're actually at a deficit to where you were.
Whoa.
Right? So you've hemorrhaged all this energy. You've released this tension, because tension seeks resolution. So you've relieved your tension, which you could use to create the body you want to create, but you're spending your time avoiding what you don't want, looking at pictures that are showing you better bodies or whatever the case may be. And you're not mastering yourself in the moment to know that when you look at those pictures, this is what happens, but you keep looking at the pictures. It's like an addiction, and we all have them to varying degrees.
Yes. It's like the when you get the ping of notifications from social media.
It's like dopamine.
Yes. And they've like tracked that.
Yeah,
that's like
it's real.
legit. Yeah. So
Science.
you're saying it's like we build this cycle of comparison contrast. And I think that makes me think of like, you know, my girlfriend that's 17 right now, and how she's like, my biggest struggle as you know, a senior in high school right now is like, I can't get out of the vortex of how I compare and contrast. I beat myself down into a hole, and I can't get out. And she'll get depressed for several days, and, you know, whatever her outlet is, if it's binging and purging, you know, it's like she doesn't have new tools realized yet to process and to move beyond what she's like built a pattern around. So you're saying like this concept of an energy drain, and that literally, because sometimes, and I've thought about this and I've heard these teachings of like I think of like back in the day when I used to wait tables, there was nothing better than getting with other servers and talking shit about the guests.
Yeah.
Like, you want to talk about like your own little mini rot rally. You
My
know,
table
you're like,
at number 5. Oh
yeah,
my
you're like,
God. Did you hear
all
what
right.
she said?
You're like, yeah, you see that? You see that mom over there? You know what she just said to me? She just asked for 2 ketchups. What is this?
Who does she think she is?
What kind of place do you think this is, right? And so it's like, that is like a high of like getting to rally together and talk shit with people is like the foundation, I feel like, of many of my close relationships. And it's like, there's something that's fun. And it's like, with talking shit about other women specifically, when we want to get together and analyze, like, oh, that girl, yeah, she's one of these people, and like, and we do this thing. But like what you're suggesting with this creative tension, the moment I have that hit of like, like, fuck that bitch, you know, like that little like, I'm scared, I'm gonna act like I'm fierce, but really I'm threatened. That's what's really happening.
That's what's happening. You're
saying, if I come in and I like rally with all my girlfriends and I'm like, oh, let's like mock this girl to make ourselves feel better, that's like a next level drain of...
Absolutely. Well, you know, energy, so tension seeks resolution, and energy seeks like energy. And so if you're comparing, and you know, to yourself to another woman, and you're in a group of women that do that, it's going to be really easy to drop into that vibration. And it's a way to connect. We're always looking to connect, but we can connect at higher vibrations. And what we're doing is we're connecting at a lower vibration, the lower hanging fruit, the easy way. It's easy to fall into that lower dip, you know?
Yeah.
And dip into that and have fun and feel accepted and liked and approved of and connected with.
Yeah.
And so my invitation is to find a higher vibration, a higher way to connect, and to use our creative energy to create what we want instead of avoiding what we don't want, instead of dropping in and, you know, and doing what's easy and it doesn't feel good. You know, we don't want to be on the other end of that. And so it's important that the more that we talk about other people, the more that in the back of our lives, we're going to be worrying about being spoken of.
Yes.
Right? So we're perpetuating the problem.
So attracting people that are on that lower vibe of the sense of when you meet people, and if the main thing you're talking about is talking smack, finding flaws with other people, the more we're building the fear in the back of our mind, it's like, oh my gosh, when I walk away, I hope they're not going to say these things about me.
Why wouldn't they?
Why wouldn't they? And I've felt that, and it's like, to find people that truly, like you're describing, if I raise my vibration, and I'd love for you to speak to like, what the heck does that mean in real life, right? Like, not just like moon stars and stuff.
Yeah, it's not so esoteric.
Yeah, and like, when we work to better ourselves and stop doing what we're always used to doing. And so if I'm just used to rallying together with my friends and talking smack and just being negative, like how it is hard to not be negative. And there's that quote, it's like mediocre people talk about people.
Yes.
Great people talk about ideas and create, like ways to create.
Yes, I was trying to think of that 2 seconds ago. And I was listening.
Yes. Yeah, right. And so, wow. So when we find people that we talk smack with, we're just like plateauing with our energy.
Yeah, and it's really hard if you have a habit of that with people. Like, I know I've changed friend groups a few times, and I've rekindled most of those friendships, but for a while I needed the separation because I couldn't trust myself to not do that. I couldn't trust myself, and I didn't want to, if they started talking, I was going to start talking because it's like crack or whatever, some
it's like
drug.
We're like, like all in this. It's bonding, but it's a pseudo bonding.
It is. It's a dysfunctional, unhealthy, low tier of bonding, and it's easy to talk about other people. It's hard to go create an amazing life.
Drop the mic. Rip this thing down. Yeah. So, okay. So raising your vibration. We love to be like, raise your vibration, like your chakras and like what? Okay, yeah. So like, what does that mean?
Well, we're all tuned to a certain frequency, right? We're all energy.
Okay.
Everything is energy. You can look it up. It's scientific. It's
science.
It's science, people. So, we are tuned to a certain frequency, and our thoughts and our feelings really indicate our vibration, our state of being.
Okay.
Right?
It's almost like your headspace or your mentality, like what is kind of the soundtrack of your mind.
Absolutely. And there are charts out there. The Hawking scale is a measure of consciousness. And if you're worrying or feeling a lot of guilt and shame, you're going to be vibrating at a lower frequency. It's low, it's dense, it's dark. You're kind of like this. You're
and it has that effect on your body. You literally feel defeated. If I feel defeated, I'm going to physically posture myself
and experience yourself as being defeated. And people are going to feel that energetically, whether they're sensitive to it or not, whether they're aware of it or not. They're going to feel it. Like attracts like magnetically. Yeah. So a higher vibration is really being in a state of being that feels good, and that you're standing a little taller because you're thinking thoughts, and it's not positive thinking, it's thinking based in truth. Okay. So you need to find the truth within you and build on that.
Wow.
Because if you're trying to fix yourself with positive thinking, you won't align with it unless it's true for you. It's like saying, I'm super fit when I'm not. I'm not going to buy into it, I know what's true.
Yeah.
And when you know it's true, it has to be based in truth for you to believe in it. And then you just continue to maintain your vibration.
Okay.
And we're not always up here all the time. It's like enlightened beings, we have moments of enlightenment. We don't become enlightened.
Whoa. So it's like the stereotypical like woo-woo juju, like positive thinking. It's just like
you just have to think positively.
Yeah, if you're just like, if you let's say like I have 30 pounds that I'd like to work through and develop into strength, and I'm like, oh, like I am so fit right now. It's like your brain is going to be like, freaking bullshit, like no, and it's like you instinctively, but what you're suggesting is like, what's the alternative to that? I have 30 pounds that it's my intention, I want to shift that energy in my life and make some changes. What is a more realistic thought or statement that would be building on truth like you're describing?
Well, it's multi-layered. First of all, I like to go into the vision of the body that I want to have. And I'm actually doing this now. Like, I'm just taking it seriously. I want to be in amazing shape by the time I'm 50 because I want to learn to use self-mastery in that way now instead of hiding behind it. Cool. So it's really getting a clear end result. What is the vision? What do I want? What do I want to look like? How do I want to feel? And then it is dropping into the current reality and notice what's not working, and then notice what is working. Focus on what's working and take obvious action that is going to carry you to that end result. Okay, so if I'm baby state of starting these changes and making these moves, and if I'm like, all right, I'm done, I'm wanting to make real action with my health goal, with my fitness goal, what's like
what would be a baby step? Is it as simple as being like, I should probably not have like my favorite all-time like Halloween candy in the house? Like what?
Yeah. I'm a big proponent for not eliminating, because I feel like it's restrictive and limiting. I'm very infinite, right? Okay. So what am I going to do? What am I willing to do so that I can have that candy? If I truly want it.
Okay.
And so my belief is just working on it every day. What's one thing I can do today? What's one thing that I can do today that will propel me towards that? Because it's difficult when you're a yogi and you're practicing yoga every day, and then you have a child at 43, and then you quit doing yoga, and then it's time to go back to yoga. Your body looks different. It feels different. You don't have the strength that you had. You don't look like you did in those cute little, Lululemons.
Yeah.
Shout out. And so it's really important to just be like, okay, what can I do today? What action can I take today that's going to support me, experiencing myself in the way that I want to experience myself, feeling good, and moving towards my end result, and having a clear plan, not a plan, but a clear direction.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the difference between plan and direction.
Yeah, direction. Who do I want to be in the face of this, and in what way can I take care of myself not waiting till then, right, that end result to feel good, but doing what I can do now to start feeling good now, so that I'm not punishing myself to get to my goal.
Yes.
I'm actually enjoying my workout and doing a workout that feels true for me, a more intuitive workout, and not going out and just busting myself and punishing myself, because we're going to burn out with that, and then we're just going to feel defeated. And this is about feeling infinite and charged and energized, which is what we get to experience now before we even get to the end result.
That's such a different shift of approaching any kind of goal. Yeah. Because I love that as we're describing this, it's like, if I'm coming out of a relationship and I've had lots of teetering back and forth, and I'm trying to create a new experience, I could spend all day being like the looking on social media equivalent of that would be like, well, how could I poke the bear of like continuing conflict? I've been married and divorced, and ending, I'm versed in relationships, and it's like those moments of like, do I poke the bear and get obsessed with a pattern of relationship? Because really it's easier to focus on the frustration and the fight. It's easier. I just heard this expression: if you don't want to play games with someone, don't throw the ball back.
Right. Put the ball down.
Yeah. And so it's like, it's so scary to put the ball down and to be like, I'm going to learn a new sport now, or not play sports, and like, I'm going to go work on myself and whatever. And to shift that energy, that is terrifying. For me, it's terrifying to leave. I'm much more like, I love people, and I'm like, so it's like to be like, wow, here's the great unknown. And same, I think, with eating and with our relationship with our body. How often do we just like brutally, I'm going to hit the treadmill, I'm going to like drink like soup broth because Kim Kardashian is doing it or something.
Right, exactly. And deprive myself and punish myself relentlessly until I'm in the shape that I want to be, and then I'll be happy.
But you're suggesting that it's like along the way, every single day, experiencing, like having the vision of where you want to be aiming towards, having a direction. I love that. The direction feels fluid.
Yes, it
versus
is.
Plan. I'm like, oh shit, I had 2 extra Twinkies today. I don't really eat Twinkies too much,
but I didn't see you as
but being like, all right, okay, Kit Kats, I had some extras from the office, and then I typically do like a downward spiral, right? And what you're suggesting is, it's like, all right, if I could take the stairs when I come into this building every day rather than going for the elevator, and if I parked a little further away at the end of the parking lot when I go to the grocery store, that is practical, obtainable, and I can be in the experience that I want to be having of lining up with my vision. And if I had a couple extra Kit Kats, well, then I did for today. And that was the choices that I chose to make in the moment. That was my solution. That was my MO. And then it's not something that's like, oh no, like,
you don't want to go into beating yourself up. If you've done it, you've done it. Who do you want to be in the face of it? right? Are we going to hemorrhage our energy now beating ourselves up for doing something that we should not have done?
I mean, I would like to enjoy the chocolate that I'm choosing to eat.
Enjoy the chocolate. Enjoy the lift that it gives you. And then, and for me personally, when I work out, I choose to eat differently. Naturally.
Yeah.
And allowing that to happen naturally is a lot different. But if we start depriving ourselves and limiting ourselves, we're going to experience ourselves as limited, as deprived, and we're likely going to take ourselves out of our end result. And the only way to fail is to take yourself out, and just to completely quit. Everything else is just create and adjust.
Say that again. The only way to fail
is to take yourself out, is to quit.
What does that mean?
That means that, in the way that I live my life is I create and I see what's obvious and I make adjustments. If what I'm doing is not working, I pivot, I make an adjustment, and I keep continuing to create and go for my end result. But a lot of times when we don't get what we want, because we want the instant gratification, hence the Kit Kat. Sometimes, we just want that instant gratification.
The Kit Kat or the Instagram feed scroll or the text
go back to the ex-boyfriend or the whatever. Yeah, the text back, the grab the phone as soon as it pings,
Yep.
It's important that we have discipline. But our discipline can be more in alignment when we have an end result, when we have a vision for ourselves, when we have some direction that we're going in. Otherwise, we're just like this feather in the wind that's just blowing in every direction, reacting to whatever life is serving up. Yeah. And we don't think we're creating it.
Yeah.
Right? We're just reacting to it. No, I don't want that. Well, what do you want? It's really important to get clear on what do I want? And is what I want more important than having this Kit Kat? And then it becomes more of a lot, it's like it becomes obvious. Right. If I eat this, am I going to have the experience I want to be having? When I typically eat 2 Kit Kats, do I beat myself up, or can I be like, okay, awesome, I'll take the stairs twice tomorrow during my lunch break or whatever? It's just really not beating yourself up, but giving yourself the freedom, because that's, we're here to experience free will, and we are responsible to ourselves for the experience we want to be having. In every moment. There's all these milestones that we go for, but there's a lot of life happening between those, between high school graduation and college graduation and, finding a career. Exactly.
The house.
So in all these moments, if we're just looking to the next milestone, we're missing out in the moment.
How do you, as, you have 2 amazing children.
Thank you.
And, you have a husband, like you have many moving parts in your life, and you're a professional. What's been one of the biggest things that has kept you feeling rooted in like really taking life in around you and not putting all of your energy into, the stereotypical living vicariously through your kids, putting all this pressure of like my kids are, because in that sacrificial, draining energy as a mother versus a conscious, like just being in the seat of your power? What's worked for you with that?
Once I was clear on which of the foundational, aka core beliefs that were playing out underneath my awareness, I was more onto them and onto myself. And I was no longer willing to give those beliefs the power. And there's 12 of them, and until we understand what they are, and we get them from the age of when we're born until we're 7, these beliefs are what really helps us orient and have safety and feel loved and get what we want when we're young.
And are they positive or negative? These core beliefs?
They typically are played out in a dysfunctional way.
Okay.
Right. So it's like I'm not worthy, or I need to be perfect, or I don't have the capacity. So the capacity one is a big one in my life, because I was a single mom. I didn't think I had enough energy. I had an amazing experience raising my daughter as a single mom. I mean, I wouldn't give it up for anything. And so in those moments, though, when I don't think that I can be present because I've got this to do and that to do, or I need to get this kid to sleep so that I can go have a bath, it's like, it's really letting go of the controlling aspect of it and just allowing life to be what it is, and then be who I'm going to be in the face of it based on the experience I want to be having. Those are like the 3 tools that I really, my boy is now 7. And, you know, he's a boy. And sometimes my capacity, I feel like I'm reaching my limit, and I get scared that I'm not going to do it right, or there's something I want to be doing, or I'm maybe sending a text and he's talking to me and I can't do two things at once. I just can't.
Yeah.
I'm just not willing to.
Sure.
It's not comfortable. So it's really, you know, who do I want to be in the face of this? Can this text wait? Do I want to give my son my undivided attention? And also, when do I teach him, you know, the boundaries of, hey, I'll be with you in just a minute, you know, and you can learn to self-soothe yourself for a few minutes while I'm doing what I'm doing for a few minutes, and then we'll meet together, and then demonstrating that too. So for me, it's all about, you know, knowing that I always have enough energy when I'm aware of my connection to the, you know, the source of all that is, the all-providing generator of life. And in remembering that, I bring awareness to that, I connect to that, or be aware of that connection to that, and then it's infinite. I can be in traffic, or with a child that's screaming and pitching a fit, or with, you know, in relationship, you know, there's no relationship is perfect. There's arguments, and it always comes back to, who do I want to be in the face of this? Who do I want to be, and what am I demonstrating here? Yeah. And what experience do I want to be having? And what can I do to orient myself to this situation so that I can have an amazing time, and hopefully invite someone else into that amazing time too.
Well, and if you have a screaming kid like you're talking about, like in the middle of Target, full meltdown, for me, I don't have babies yet, but it's like, you know, if I'm around someone that's having a meltdown in public, I immediately am like, oh my gosh. I start making it, what does it make it mean about me?
Yes.
And so I can imagine, like, with the child, the screaming child in the back of the car, you know, it's like, what am I making it mean about me?
Yeah.
And detaching from that sense of like, oh my gosh, I'm out of control. I can't control. What are these people thinking? What are they? The externals, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Was that an overnight thing for you to learn?
No, but we did spend a lot of time on the road driving from Charleston to Asheville with a screaming kid in the backseat, and we tried everything. We would do chants, we would sing Sanskrit, we would play music, we would argue, we would do all the things, and eventually I realized that I was making it mean something about me, that I couldn't control him or keep him from being who he is. And that was a big mind explosion for me. And to realize that I didn't need to prove that I was a good mom, that I needed to be of service to the situation and be of service to him, and not give him messages that it's not okay to cry, or that he, you know, I think he probably hated being in a car seat. He's a free, young, wild boy who doesn't want to be tethered, and neither do I. Yeah. And so it's just, it's almost seems cruel when you think about how tight those car seats need to be. And when I was sitting on my mom's lap in the front of a Volkswagen with a cast iron, you know, the dashboard. You know. But yeah, so for me it was a lot of trial and error, and just realizing, like, wow, I am responsible for who I'm being and what energy I'm bringing to that. And if I'm getting agitated because he's crying, that's not gonna be a high enough vibration to invite him out of. Okay. You know, so I want to be what my teacher calls the pace car, right? Where I'm monitoring my energy. And if I'm taking care of myself and I'm self-soothing, if you will, and staying calm and present and aware and having an experience that I want to be having, because I'm in control of that. He's not. Yeah. If I make him in control of that, then I'm codependent. Then I need him to be okay in order for me to be okay. And that applies to anyone and everyone. Yes. And when you can become masterful of yourself in that kind of environment, then anything, you can see that anything's possible. Mm-hmm. And when I started to really experiment with that, I would notice that his energy would change. Whoa. And I even do this now on the airplanes with kids I don't know. If they're crying like 4 rows up, you know, I get that immediate like, oh God, are we going to be on an airplane with a crying kid? Yeah. You know, and then I get on to myself. And I'm like, put my hand on my heart, and I just start, you know, being the light and the love, noticing my own connection, and then I start sending that energy to that child. Your own connection, like you go from being like externals, what's happening, to being like, all right, here I am. Dropping in. Feel frustrated, and here I am in this moment, and I'm okay. So you like start detach. That. Okay. Mm-hmm. I detach from what the environment is. The bomb's going off. Exactly. Around you. Thank you. And then I drop into my own internal experience, and then I start to manage it. I start to breathe and realize, okay, what would I love to experience instead of this? It's one of my favorite questions.
Yeah.
What would I love to experience instead of this? Okay, well, what can I do? Well, I could just, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep breathing. I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to put my hand on my heart. I'm going to feel my own connection, and then I'm going to send that love. And I'm going to imagine that child being soothed by my soothing myself. And each time I've ever done it, it's miraculous how that child will calm down. But we can't calm a child by shaking them and telling them to stop.
Yeah, and being like, don't do, like just threatening their life. Like, that's not...
It doesn't work.
Doesn't
it doesn't
make me
work.
feel
It didn't
safe.
work for me, and it doesn't work as a mom. And really, you know, those 4 agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, those are such staples.
Yeah.
And it's like, A, don't take it personally, you know, because as a mom, when your kid's screaming, it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know, and you are making it about you.
Yeah.
What are they going to think about me? What, you know, what kind of a parent lets their child behave this way?
Yeah.
Right? So it's important to just disassociate from what everybody else thinks, because it's not going to help you out of that situation. It's only going to perpetuate your stress. And then drop in and just give yourself the experience you want to be having, and know that vibration can support other people going to the higher vibration. So the pace car.
When there's a child in the back seat screaming, or like if your child is having a meltdown on an airplane, what do you like? What's a practical, like, what would you really want to be experiencing of that? Like, you know, what does that actually look like in that moment as a mom? You know, you're like, what would I like to experience? What would you like to experience?
Yeah, I want to experience, you know, having control over myself, right? So that I'm not dropping into that vibration, and then I'm not trying to please everyone around me, because that's not my job. I like to assume, and I use that word carefully, that everyone is in control of themselves, that everyone is responsible for themselves. And I came from a very people-pleasing epidemic, right? Like, it was my sickness, was I wanted to please everyone. If everyone else was comfortable, then I could be okay. Well, that was exhausting. It requires a lot of work, and I was really good at it, so I did it a lot. And what it did was it just kept people out of their power. So when I'm in that situation, and I say this, you know, in retrospect, because it doesn't always work, but I make every attempt to, is just be in my own experience. And also now, because I'm a self-mastery teacher, I want to demonstrate. So I take those opportunities to just be in my own power, and then extend love to my child, and not worry about what everybody else is doing. But what they're seeing can have an impact on them to do it differently. To not yank their kid, or, you know, shame them because they're not comfortable on the flight, or their ears might be hurting.
Are blowing
right.
up on the inside. Like, sorry, I'm crying and I'm 3 and I don't know what's happening.
And we all wonder why we live with shame, because we're not allowed to be who we are. And so it's really allowing me to have my reaction, deciding what am I making it mean about me, what would I love to experience instead, and what becomes obvious. What would I like, and what becomes obvious to me in order to do that. And when I'm in my shit and I'm freaking out, I have no access to that information. None. I'm trying to put out a fire. And when I'm trying to put out a fire, I'm completely disconnected from the very information that's going to give me what I want. So I got to put out the fire in my heart first.
Yeah, you're like, I'm going to do my own fire putting out experience of calm down.
My reaction, my trigger.
The quick,
Yeah. Because if I'm in reaction, I can't create. I'm just, you know, covering geysers.
Yeah, you're outside of yourself.
Exactly.
So being able to check in with your own internal world, stop focusing on putting out geysers, because I love how you said, like, you know, and I didn't even realize that I do this until I started this work that we've been doing together, of how much I'm looking for everyone else outside of myself to be okay, and then I give myself permission to, like, let go and, you know, be like, oh, okay, we're all good now. But it's like, that is an uphill battle for eternity.
Eternity.
And it's also just a mental trap of, like, if, you know, because you cannot ever control other people around you. And if your cousin's going to show up, you know, without a shirt on to Christmas dinner and, you know, like, be on this, like, 4th, you know, tall boy.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be a very uphill battle to be able to, like, you know, control the things that are around and outside. And that's just, for me, that's such a breath of fresh air to just know, like, it's not on me to be able to make everything perfect, and that's okay.
Yeah, we can't go around creating our environments all the time. We have an inner environment that is easy. No one can control it, only we can. And when we tune into that, because it's a hard habit to break. We grow up doing this because in our family dynamic, many of us needed to do that. Well, if mom's okay and dad's okay, then I'm okay, right? So we unconsciously start doing this, and then we get really good at it. And we can detect people's energy, and when they're, oh, he's about to get mad, so I need to do this in order for him not to do that, or I need to go hide and, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like if you just drop into your own self, then you can create the environment within yourself, and then you can actually affect your outer environment.
Yeah.
So it's counterintuitive, but by going in, you can actually directly affect your outer environment by bringing your own vibration up and inviting people into that by just being who you are and not letting your cousin who showed up without a shirt on with his fourth tall boy ruin your Thanksgiving.
Yeah, exactly, which is all too relative. And like with the holiday season in full swing, that's liberating. And I think it's amazing too with working with animals and watching people. Like I have a very good friend that is a dog trainer, and I brought my golden retriever and was around her, and I was like bitching about, he does this stuff and he's like so not good with me on a leash. He's great with my partner, but like with me, he just doesn't respect me. Like I had this whole story, and she was like, well, you don't respect yourself. And I was like, what? No. Like, this isn't about me. This is this dog. Right, exactly. It's messed up about the dog. And it's like, doing this work with her for years and years, understanding, like, even with animals are a reflection of what we tolerate. And like Tony Robbins has that statement, we get what we tolerate. Yeah. And if an animal is only doing what it's been exhibited is okay, encouraged, like if a dog jumps and forever we're like, oh my God, it's cute. And then you have guests come over and then the dog tries to do the same pattern and you're like, oh, Fido, no.
Right.
And it's like the dog is like, what? Why are you trying to trick a bitch? Like, don't do this to me. So it's like to see, and like with me walking with my dog on a leash and him going in front of me, she was like, if he steps in front of you and you're going in front of him, you like step on his toe. Like, obviously, like you're not like crunching your dog's toe, but like go on your path. And I was like, I can't. I'm not gonna step on his foot. I have shoes on. I'm not gonna do that. And she was like, oh, but you'll let him step on you all day long? Who else do you let step on you and make you a doormat when you are in the driver's seat, or you are supposed to be in the driver's seat? And it's like, oh my gosh, like that energy translates everywhere. And we, like you're saying, we set the pace car. We give people the invitation to rise up. And if we're forever like catering to like, oh no, like don't be upset. Oh, it's okay. Like I love my dad. Like he's amazing. And like when we go out to eat, like he's like Mr. Grumpy Gills at times. Like he's like looking for every excuse of like, oh, this guacamole is overpriced and whatever. And it's like, I love it. That's him. Like, that's the generation he's from, whatever. And for me to sit at that table, and I used to be like, to any server, he'd be like, Ma, I'll take my Coke, blah, whatever. And then I would be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like, oh, that's so great. Thanks. Like, and then I'm like exhausting myself.
Overcompensating.
Because I didn't want them to feel like, oh, my dad's a jerk and it's like, because I was making it mean that I was a jerk if I was sitting at a table with someone having their own experience, and then I needed to like balance it out, and it would wipe me out. And It's like, how liberating to just be able, I just got back from a trip back to Austin, and to sit at Kirby Lane and have some sweet little 16-year-old guy taking our order, and he was not the best at customer service, I will tell you that. And to know that my dad is going to be fully who he is, and I'm going to be who I am, and I don't have to come in and jump and rescue anybody from having their experience, and that I don't have to make it mean anything about me if my dad, thinks that guacamole is overpriced.
Right. It doesn't identify you.
No.
I came up with this cool little like karate chop when I first started learning that technique. I was just like, that is not mine. And it was like, I would separate it from me and I'd be like, that is not mine. Back to me. Back to me.
Yes. So practical things for wrapping up our Ruby Hour session. So we have our karate chop of when can you identify when someone or something on social media or the people around you are being exactly who they are, and maybe it doesn't align with who you would like to be. To have I give you permission to let go of trying to control everyone else, controlling your 5-year-old, controlling just, you get to manage you.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, if you've gotten really good at that, then you have all the skills, you just apply it to yourself. You've already taken all of this time to learn how to go out and handle everybody else, but give that to yourself. That's self-love, that's self-care.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being on the Ruby Hour. And Jessica, how can people get in touch with you and follow more of these teachings, this headspace, if they want to raise their vibration and get out of some of those patterns? Where can they find you?
I have a website, jessicarueger.com. It's JESSICARUEGER.com. And I'm also on Instagram and Facebook, Jessica Rueger. I think there's only one of us out there, so that's kind of cool.
Good. The one and only. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow, tag a friend if any of this information is helpful, and we will see you next time.